What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Motivational Monday. I know we talked about Sissy Street Nights last week, but we're going to talk about Sissy Street Nights again, but a little bit of a different twist on what was going on and what was happening. Obviously, I kind of shared the busyness of what the putting on the race event was. And then after we kind of shared what it took to actually get rolling. And actually, after we got rolling, there was still some problems, right? There was some cars that oiled down the racetrack. There was some crashes. There was all this. There's a lot of chaos. And after the race started going, I normally the way that the race starts is I'm either up in the tower or along the racetrack, and we'll do a prayer before the race, and then we'll do the national anthem, the greatest song that there ever was and ever will be, and that's how we get the race kicked off. And then from there, I normally go and kind of stand on the racetrack and make sure everything's going smooth. The people kind of know what's going on and what's happening. This time I had Zaya with me in the tower, so we were up there doing that, and then she was kind of over it, so she wanted to exit the tower, and then we had to kind of go through all this chaos of people to get back to where our motorhome was. And then I went on the starting line to kind of see what was happening over there and going, and then I had to run back to the camper to check on the kids, and Brixton wanted to be with his dad, and he frankly wanted to watch race cars. And man, it's just chaos. So I can't describe this any differently. Like, it's just controlled chaos, and everybody, it is part of Footnote Event. Everybody, it feels like everybody's looking for you, and everybody has some issue that they need you to fix. That's just the reality of putting on an event. And but at that moment, Brixton wanted to hang out with his dad, so I decided that I wasn't going to worry about all these other people, that I was going to worry about little man. So I picked Brixton up, and I kind of looked around what was my best plan of action. Well, me and him both share a love of motorcycles, and we had the 50 there, so I put him on the 50, and I kind of rode around looking for a spot, and Ricky just so happened to be filming on the return road, probably about 60 foot out, but nobody was around him. It was kind of a weird little nook of being like under the bleachers, and then nobody else could really get to us. And it was just like a real like private setting that I seeked out, right? And we could just hang with our buddy Rick. And when I say that, like, he is our buddy Rick, like he's my buddy, but I think Brixton and him are tighter than we are sometimes. So we go down there and we sit on the motorcycle, and we have a really good vantage point of the work that I'm supposed to be doing, right? I'm supposed to be on the starting line. I'm supposed to be doing all these things, but you can just see all the people, the cars are more on the racetrack, and we're just sitting there, and Brixton doesn't sit still for a lot of things. But in that moment, for those 15, 20 minutes that we got to chill, he never took his eyes off the racetrack. And every car that went down, he's, "Daddy, race. 1, 2, 3. Daddy, they're racing. Go. Cars are fast." Just over and over and over again. And it made me think of something. There's an example in Exodus of something that happened to Moses. And Moses was working. He was tending his flock. He was busy. Well, all of a sudden, he sees a burning bush on his property, which, anything could have started that. That's probably a weird thing to happen or whatever. But he goes to that burning bush, and when he gets there, God speaks to him. And God tells him to take off his sandals because he's standing on holy ground. Well, Moses had probably stood on that exact ground a lot of times. He had probably been by that bush a lot of times. he had been in that same spot so many times, but never had he took his sandals off, and never had he understood that that was holy ground. And where I'm going with that is this: in the busyness of life and the busyness of obligation, a lot of times we miss those holy ground or burning bush moments. We see them, we see maybe the opportunity for that, or we see this, theoretically this bush on fire, but we're so busy with our day-to-day lives that we don't want to go over and investigate and experience that holy ground for us. So in that moment for me, I realized that time with my son was way more important than the busyness that was happening around me. And where we stood was, quote on, we seeked out that burning bush, right? And in that moment, that ground that we sat on, everything else seemed to be quiet, even though it wasn't. And I kind of feel like Moses had that same thing, right? Like he was having this one-on-one time with God and experiencing it. And in the same way, everything else was quiet, and I got to experience this really awesome moment with my son throughout the chaos of life. So for you, and for this Motivational Monday, I just want to challenge you to find the burning bushes. Find the things that you throughout your busyness, you can still go out and have time for yourself, have time for your family, and just realize that, you know what, like Moses did, his flock's fine, he can come back to him, but I want to be here to experience this moment. So don't let the moments pass you by. You might be passing holy ground per se all the time, but you're too busy to hear that you should probably take your sandals off and sit a while. So we love you. I hope you get something from this. As always, till next time, see ya.